We launched our product March of 2020, literally
Oh,
weeks
wow.
before COVID shut the world down. And we launched with one perspective of the world and quickly realized that that perspective changed. And what we realized was that for these destinations to manage their communities and respond to the crisis, they needed real-time, high-frequency global data. And so we went on the hunt to find data sources that would answer really big questions. And if we brought them into our platform, they would help our partners really understand what was happening. So we focused on geolocation. We're focusing on obviously spend data. But when we met PredictHQ and saw that a destination could understand not what they know about their destination, but also what PredictHQ brings is the full comprehensive perspective of events and concerts and youth sports happening in their marketplace. Again, we looked at each other and said, wow, this changes everything. And so it's not only retrospective, but it's forward looking. And so
Mhm.
you can start to, I mean, the utopia is that a destination understands the next 90 days or the next, you know, 3 to 6 months worth of events, and they can start to take that and share it with their members and say, hey, we've got 5 events, 2 festivals, and these youth sports all coming coming onto the city at this time. Prepare your staff up, manage your capacity. Or you can start to look at that and see if you can level load that capacity more meaningful, and also optimize your marketing around those events. So
Yeah.
it's really just, for me, it's transformational in terms of
Mhm.
having that information and how you use it going forward.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, to your point, you speak about benchmarking. I think that's kind of the critical thing you're pointing at here is, look, 2020 was a wash, but it doesn't stop you from looking at what was happening in 2019
Right.
and what impact that had on and then what does that look like looking forward as well. And I think that's a real kind of critical part to what what we provide and in partnering with you as well. And just super interesting to hear the different triggers, but certainly the what we deemed called perfect storms of demand is how we want to change the way in which partners think about our data. That it's not events in the singular, but it is actually looking at collectively. Like on any given day, there can be a cross section or intersection of events that are happening that could be compounded by even bigger events like school holidays, public holidays, all of these things going on to kind of drive that perfect storm of demand, which if businesses can understand, not just 2 weeks out, but potentially 8 months out, 9 months out, that allows for more effective planning and effectively yield. And actually that kind of brings me to my next question is, do you feel that these, in terms of the DMOs you work with, is there this real drive now for how do they yield more out of this demand? Are they starting to look at it like a like a airline revenue management person would, or someone who works to RevPAR and hotels? How do you see that evolving?
Well, I see it evolving in a way to level load capacity within the capacity of the destination.
Gotcha.
And so, and also where needed, add capacity if the data suggests that it should be. So I do see that it will evolve and create new models of destination
Absolutely.
management as a result of having insight with this data, and also benchmarking. What other destinations are doing with this type of information.
So look, I think one of the big things we've seen, particularly in the past 12 months, is the need for data to help businesses align. And I think kind of it's done right. Data can be a unifying mechanism, and the reason being is particularly if you can explain the why. So rather than having a black box like, hey, just believe us, this is what's going on, actually explaining the why around certain things that are happening in the real world is kind of critical. And I guess we see this anything from an ops manager through to a data scientist creating a new forecast who actually just wants to explain, hey, this is what's actually going on. Trust this new forecast or trust this ops plan and help that org align. And so I guess the big thing there in terms of what data can do is data can unlock at all levels of the business. So it can unlock it at hey, this is how we get value really quickly, and this is what we're seeing, all the way through to a data scientist being able to explain to an ops manager or an exec team manager, this is why this is so important right now.
I do think that once you get a taste of real-time situational awareness that allows you to make action that is, based on data from just say yesterday or the day before, you don't want to go back. You don't want to go
Mm,
backwards to relying on a once annual report or even a quarterly report. You have a understanding that this is possible, and so you want to keep moving forward.
mm.